We are going to start our session on imaging processes. Our first speaker is Luis Perez with his talk LSM Static Science Recognition Using Image Processes. Yes.
Good afternoon. My topic is LSM static scene recognition using image processing. My name is MNC Luis Manuel Perez. The content of my presentation is on this slide. Well, introduction. In Mexico, deaf people often communicate through the Mexican Sign Language, which has a particular structure. It is characterized with the use of dynamic and static signs. These signs are associated with the letter of the alphabet and word, allowing us to use computer vision algorithms for recognition. Present technology is capable to create systems which can help people who can speak the sign language. To understand it and be able to interact, systems can be created using pattern recognition techniques and digital image processing. In Mexico, there are 39,000 people diagnosed with hearing impairment. So it is necessary to design artificial vision systems to interpret the sign language, now as Mexican Sign Language, to the Spanish. In the background, there are many languages on the world. And Mexico use the LSM, Mexican Sign Language. This language, there are two types for the things, the signs. The first sign is called static signs of the alphabet. We can see in the figure 2, letter A, letter B, and letter C, another letter in Mexican. The second type, these signs, there are dynamic science, maybe letter Q, letter C, and the majority there are words. We can see the letter C, capsule. There are differences between the LSM and the Spanish language. LSM is not a meaning interpretation of the Spanish. So there isn't sign for each word. We can see the example one example for the conjugation of the verb in the Spanish and the LSM. In the Spanish, we can say juego, juegas, juegas. The LSM is the same, jugar, jugar, jugar. There are two word forms in the syntactic literature. The first is the Sistema de Identificación de Lenguaje de Señas con una red neuronal. This word is the Colombia language. And the second word is the algoritmo de reconocimiento de imágenes del lenguaje mexicano, is for the language Mexican sign. The first row show the image processing. This technique is used in the first word, noise suppression and edge detection. The second word is segmentation for the Kinect, and later image scaling. The artificial neural network used in this word, the first is the multilayer, the backpropagation learning algorithm. The input is a raw vector for 80,000 elements. The second word, one layer, the INN is one layer. The input is the raw vector for the 25 elements. The result, this word is 22, the 23 static science for the Colombian science language, and the LSM is 20 for the 21 science. In this slide, I show for my block diagram in this work. The first block is image acquisition, what resonates with a digital camera and control environment. The second block is the segmentation. I used the QCC mix. Later, the next block is a feature expression. For algorithm used is geometric moments. And finally, the classification is for multi-layer processor artificial neural network. For the database or acquisition of image, in my case, is black background at the right hand of the people, and take 1,680 pictures for 80 persons. And in the figure 4, we can see the letter C, the letter T, and the letter A. They see similar, but my algorithm I can be different between. In the flow for segmentation, the primary task is to isolate the hands on the background of the image. For this, I use user QCT means. This is the equation for the algorithm, where C is the cluster center, is I, where 1 to C. And in this moment, in this board, the cluster, there are two clusters. For the first cluster is the scene, the person, and the second cluster is for the background, the image. The results for segmentation, we can see in the figure 5, where, see the letter A, the letter Y, the letter T, and letter W segmented very well for the background. This image is binary size for the next block. And the next block, we have a figure expression. The algorithm uses this geometric moment. Describe object with set of measurable quantities. The equation for describe this algorithm is equation 3, where P and Q indicate the moment order. F, X and Y is the image. X and Y is the spatial position of the pixel in the image, and M is the geometric moment of the hand. There are 7 Q moments. These moments, there are invariants for the styling, translation, and styling, translation, and in rotation. And these 7 Q moments, we can see the table too. This is a mathematical expression. The result for the apply my 7 Q moment for the image, and we can see in the table 3 for the 21 letters for the alphabet and messages. Do you remember for the letter A, S, T, the same fancy, very same? So we with the few moments, the difference is clear because the T and A, the same number, but the second and third and the difference is clear. So this 7 moment is the input for my multi-layer presentation for the block classification. Multi-layer presentation artificial neural network. They are mathematical models based on the operation of biological neural network. The figure 7, the basic scheme of the neuron, where X is input and W are the weight synapses, and J is a node. The neuron is called a node. This node can see on the left side the equation for the input, where the weights for the neuron, and this is the input less bias. After the function for the excitation or no excitation, the platform uses is MATLAB, and the network is the figure line. You can see the architecture of the performance layer, where input 7 moment Q, The first layer size is the 177 neurons, and the left letter is the softmax layer. This is 21 because 21 letter of alphabet the next thing. And finally, the output. The training phase. This training phase, we use the columns and letters. This column, the 1 to 8 and 81 to 160 for every one letter. Later, introduce to the layer size. Hidden. The layer hidden. The layer is the layer output, and there are one vector column for the missing letter. The result of the training phase is shown in the training phase confusion matrix. This matrix, the row for the output, the ANN, and the columns for the object class. The accuracy for my training phase is 9%, but some times there are many problems because the 7 few moments have a problem with the rotation because the M and B is the same thing, but rotate 90 degrees. The same with the N and the N, E, B, U. U and B is the same case. They rotate like 7 few moments invariant for the rotate, so the same time but 90 degrees difference. The evaluation for my work on the left hand, the table 5 shows the recognition of image of LSM6 static image, 20 for the 21, and recognition of image of Colombian Science Language, 22 of 23, and proposed algorithm 21 of 21. The experimentation condition were that the process was done with 6 subjects equivalent to 124 images that were not trained in the ANN. The table 6 shows all letters for the users for the evaluation. The figure 11 proposal results confusion matrix for the 6 persons. The row is output for the ANN, and the column is for the target. My accuracy increment 1% because the experiment, the people in the experiment, so my accuracy increment 9%. The conclusion for my work is the LSM can be applied for an automatic result for recognition and improving, and our work related to the scientific literature. This algorithm recognizes static time and the LSM correctly array before the that of 10 times and recognizes it correctly. The algorithm, the experimentation conditions were the proposed was only 6 subjects equivalent to the 124 image that were not trained in the ANN. That's all, and this is my reference. Is any question?
Second layer, you get a few moments to apply current time stress, but maybe at one one, for example, the difference between the A and the C was here.
in the first is the same. The school is there. The different we can show see this difference. The other letter is very important have the seven moments because the sign can be okay. The people you know do the sign fine. So it's very close. It's very important to take the 70 moments.
I have a short question. Which is going to be the final output of your algorithm? I mean, you are going to consider an output like an Euler sign equivalent to a later, like, can I say, you do a sign, and then the output is an audio like a vowel, C, O, which is going to be the final output.
The final output give me a vector column, the 21, and the all 0 less 1.
Or you are only in the stage of the evaluation. So I was thinking of an application for a cell phone. I don't know.
This is the cost computational is very
It's high at the moment.
high.
Okay. Any other question? Next time to read or to stop. There's another information for you on behalf of organizing committee. Thanks. Is with Roberto Noriega here or someone to represent the board LSD steganography? Yo, come here, come. Very good. Actually, you come to present. Right. Our next speaker is Luis Roberto.
The authors of the paper are PhD Rogelio Reyes Reyes, PhD por Luis Díaz, PhD know where a little background and the origin of the GND model. This model structure. These kind of models are not compatible with 3D concepts. As you know, with the growth of temporality has become popular. And as I said before, these kind of models are not cannot be analyzed using the GND model. So the problem or the opportunity, the way you want to think, is that this new model is used to analyze 3D images and virtual, for example. Well, how has this model been used? First, we need to define what the BJD model is. The BJD model tries to measure the perceptible distortion using binocular properties of the image for stereoscopic images. So, also we need to know some terms used to 3D content. One of them is stereoscopic images. Stereoscopic images is the most common format used to create 3D content. This background is similar to the vision, human vision process. Sorry, we have two images. The image is almost the same, but we with a light difference. So it's the way that we see in the environment. Each eye takes an image from the environment, and then the brain views them and gives us deep sensation. Some related words about BJND. Well, BJND model have been used to increase rate compression of their images for computing perceptual 3D quality perceived by the end user, but for providing quality of the nuclear fission mass and disparity mass of the stereoscopic image pair, for protecting the intellectual property without degrading the visual content, and for image amplification and sample detection. But how BJND model was developed? Well, there's only one work that has been published. Jim Tao, the author, he modeled the BJND model by using this thing, luminance masking effect and contrast masking effect. Here in the expression number 1, we have the general model that I will go to explain. First, luminance masking effect. They model all these things by using a psychophysical experiment. So the first one is luminance masking effect. The luminance masking effect aims to quantify the visibility reversal that makes the binocular not just noticeable. So in expression number 2, we have the form, the patient, and the image. Luminance model is that in these areas, in the graph we can see the horizontal axis background on luminance from 0 to 255, and in the other one we have the luminance value. So in this zone, the value is higher in comparison with this zone. It means that in these areas, the human eye cannot perceive any changes in image. So the other thing particular thing when we see an 3D images with the correct glasses, there is something. It's called elevation factor. Elevation factor is or what's the analysis by them. This fitting function is elevated. It's elevated, therefore has a higher value by the surrounding edge height. However, this effect refers to the background luminance is compressed. I mean, the constant masking effect is composed by two things: the luminance masking effect plus this fitting function and the edges of the image. Here we can see the kernels used to detect the image, the edges in the image, and this image shows the behavior of the fitting function case. As we can see, well, in the horizontal axis we have background luminance from 0 to 255, and in the other one we have key values. It means that in this zones with dark areas in the image, we have a higher value in comparison with the white area. So for our LSD framework, we will consider this expression, this model, as you can see, in this model, sorry, in this model, they consider noise treatment it is part of the expression. Now, for our LSB framework, we will consider only luminance and constant masking effect. So the expression will be this for the text area, PJND areas in the image. So how is it composed, our stereoscopy framework? This is the general block diagram. It's composed by two stages, the source and the destination stage. And this is the embedding element of the steganographic method, and the extraction is almost the same. Let me explain this. We have the paired stereoscopic images, left and right. These images are used or are converted from RGB to YCDCR, different color space. So once we do that, both images are analyzed by our by the PJND stage. Once that is done, we obtain the two images. Well, these images tell us how much information I can embed in the image and where I can embed the information without degrading the visual content. So once is this done, we embed the payload in the white channel, only in the white channel. And then we convert YCBCR to RGB to have the color images of the stereoscopic pair. So the extraction LSB method is almost similar. The only difference is that here we introduce the modified images. Well, because we can modify the payload from the white channel, and finally we have the payload information, the secret information. So we evaluate our framework based in two criteria. So first, here is information about where we develop the framework. We use Python, and well, the computer is our computer with Windows 10 and 8 gigabytes RAM. And we use a data set from MiddleBuoy. It's available on the internet. So the criteria was, the first one is for measure imperceptibility. We calculate the DSNR and sync index from the original pair and the modifier. And for guarantee that the final 3D image would be correct, would be accurate, we calculate the price map for ensure that we use different indexes like Jacquard, SIM, SAT, mutual information, normalized cross correlation, and also we use two other criteria to measure the difference between the images, the disparate images. We use SIM index and quantity by pixels, comparing the disparity map that we make with the modified images and with the ground truth. So these are the outcomes. In the first table, we can see all the set of the little GUI, and we can see the maximum payload capacity that can be embedded in an image. And in the second one, we can see the outcomes from between the original stereoscopic image and the modified. As we can see, they are a good outcome, because we have in average almost 30, and for PS and here, and since we have almost 1, it means that the image is almost the same. In this table, we have seen for different index that we use to create the disparity map. As we can see, there are the different algorithms has different problems. But the best index used to create this disparity map is Jacquard index. So Jacquard index has the best outcome from all these indexes. And here we have the quantity path pixel. Quantity path pixel is, for example, as I said before, we have 2 images. When we want to look one specific pixel in the other image, we need to looking for in a moving kernel. So if it's not in the other image, we have an error. So this quantity path pixel is that when we have error, we calculate this using quantity path pixel. So the results are good in comparison with other algorithms, but the difference is that we already have information embedded in the image. Conclusion: well, in our framework, we obtained we discovered that we couldn't embed up to 1.87 megabits per image, and the value for the maximum quantity of information can be embedded for the visual quality of the image. In average, we have this NR of 31.12, and in team index we have 96. That is almost 1. It means that the modified image, when we see the modified image, we cannot detect any change. And for 3 generations, we guarantee that when we embed information in the image, we cannot, or the 3 generation cannot be affected for the image, for the information that we embed. We have a good outcome. QVP, quantity path filters, from 41%, and SIM from 77. Comparing the ground truth, the original image, the original disparity map with the disparity map that we create with the modified image. And the most important thing, I think, is that it's a novel proposal, because there are no any other related work using EJND models to hide information. And
any questions?
Just have talked about the quality of the image into
okay, as you know, LSB algorithm is not the most security method that you can use to embed information, but it's we can do like we can that it is the first word using this model to hide information. In the future, we will try to ensure that the information that you embed will be active on hackers and malicious people. But now we have only this method, but we will improve the, the technique, the algorithm used to hide information. It's not safe, I know, but it's the first. We will improve it.
I have another question. Why did you use Python?
Why?
Which is the advantage?
Well, because I know it's a scripting language. You can use this language when you want to do quickly test, quickly algorithm, quickly script, and this is uh,
Portable? Because it's portable?
can be used in I don't know in very depends on things.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Continue. Our next speaker is the title of this work is Programming of the System for Acquisition of Image and Demographic Data for Diabetic Food Analysis.
The purpose of my job is to illustrate that how we can use a low-cost technology as a first front medical instrument. The content of my presentation, I will avoid the problem, the background, the objectives, the methodology I did, the results I got, and finally, discussion. The problem we have is the diabetes mellitus. That is one of the problems that affects the worldwide and continues increasing. One of the consequences of the diabetes mellitus is the complication of the diabetic foot, which results at the worst condition of the ulcer of the death. So the problem is that in the medical area, the doctor cannot see these problems until they appear. So it means that until now we cannot prevent. So using the infrared technology, we can see through the images that there are different temperatures between the compromised areas and the areas that they are still without ulcers. So that means that this technology is focused in the preventive medicine. As a background, we have different technical imaging, for example, the X-ray that we can use to see problems that we have in the bone. Another very common is the MRI, where we can see the formation of the foot, but both of them are focused into the returning medicine. And as I said, the infrared technology is focused on the preventive medicine. And maybe we cannot get the same resolution like the other both techniques I already mentioned, but it is enough to detect different temperatures. So the objective of the research is the diabetic foot complication, and it's to study the thermal effects of the diabetic foot complications derived from the vascular problems for early detection. So before we go to the methodology, we have to understand some of the considerations of the infrared technique. The technique for capturing images with a thermographic camera is called formally as telethermography or telethermometry. This is not novel. Already there are many works around the infrared technology, and this technique is behind the radiometric technique in order to measure the temperature without touching the object. All bodies that emit a temperature above the zero absolute has infrared radiation. It means that the infrared radiation emitted by skin can be interpreted as temperature. And the sensors that we use for estimate the body temperature has three considerations. It can measure the body radiation, the radiation of the surrounding object, the radiation of the radiation reflected by the body. These three parameters are taken by the sensor and will be interpreted as temperature. And by the literature, we know that the radiation emitted by the skin is an exponential function of the surface temperature. It is an indicator of the blood perfusion level within the body. That means, in this way, it is possible that we can detect the zones they are compromised for voltage before they appear. And understanding the emissivity and its effects are very important as we are using the temperature measurement as a tool to predict conditions. And the human skin is an almost perfect emitter, known as a black body, with an emissivity approximately of 0.98. A black body has an emissivity of 1. It means that a black body cannot absorb or reflect infrared energy. Here we can see an example that we have an area, so we assume that all this area has the same temperature. And if we adjust the camera with a constant sensitivity of 0.95, only of the fact that it's painted different ways, it can have different measurements. As you can see, it differs 2 degrees. So the particular objective of this process of my job was to design a build an equipment that allows to measure the temperature radiometrically and obtain thermographic images known as thermograph for the study of the diabetic foot and its evolution in patients with diabetes mellitus or without a history of vascular problems in the lower limbs. For lower limbs, I mean feet. And this is important because it can be a reference to study the evolution of the disease. Particularly, it can show the portability and to reduce costs. In this way, we propose to use a Raspberry Pi and the lesson clear infrared sensor. If we compare the price between the professional camera infrared we have in the laboratory versus the final product, we can find it 100 times cheaper. The characteristics of the Raspberry Pi, known as a single board computer, it has almost a gigahertz processor, a gigabyte of RAM for USB port where we can use it to connect a mouse or a keyboard and a communication peripheral, 40 PCO pins where we connect the camera. They are general purpose pins, a full HDMI port where we can connect an external monitor, Ethernet port, connection to internet, audio jack, and micro SD for the slot, which is the analog of the hard disk in a normal computer. A very primitive video card. And about the development kit of infrared sensor, we can see it only detect the length, wavelength from 8 to 14 micrometers. It corresponds to the infrared spectrum. We have a resolution of 80 by 60 active pixels, a thermal sensitivity higher than 50 millikelvin. The video interface is done by the SPI protocol, and the control interface by the I2C protocol, which both of them can run in parallel, and a fast image in less than a half second, and a low operating power that is 115 milliwatts. Here we can see an example of how we can see the image to the sensor with the demo of the company that it provides to the user. So the project was done with a Raspberry Pi as I said, and programmed with the Qt library in C++. which permits to you to create a graphic interfaces with objects, and by the same time we can program it with it as a script technique. So in a previous work we got that characteristic equation just to interpret the data from the sensor into temperature. But in this, at that time we did it in a controlled environment. This time we try to do it in an environment without control because that we assume that it will be like that in the medical area when the prototype will be tested in a hospital, for example. We don't have a controlled environment. So we put the sensor at 20 centimeters far away from the hand and take pictures, assuming that the hand has a similar skin to the tip. And by the time we compare with a reference with a thermocouple and a system who all the time is taking data of the thermocouple. In that way, we could compare the data of the sensor with the data of the thermocouple to verify how well is the equation is near to the real temperature that we are measuring. We relate three measurements, important measurements, in total were 5, but I will show 3, that in different times of the day, because it is important to consider factors such as humidity and the environment temperature. As we can see, for example, 16 hours and a half with a temperature, environment temperature of 35 and a half, we got an error of 2.2 degrees respect the thermocouple. At 10 o'clock, with a temperature of 30 degrees, we got less 0. And at 2 o'clock, we got more 0 because maybe we had less humidity. So it means this error is not because the sensor has an error. This error is from the characteristic equation to the controlled environment. So as we can see, we got a mean error of minus 4 degrees, but we have a precision of 0.33 degrees. But still we have some problem of stabilization of the sensor, which can be interpreted as we got this precision. Here we can see the controlled environment where we got the correct characteristic equation, which has this form. As you can see, the quadratic term is very small, so we can eliminate it. And to correct the error, we can only take this term and to add the error as the opposite. We got the 4 principal functions which we program is to clean up the sensors of ER interference, capture images, change the color palette. As you can see, we have the rainbow palette, we have the iron black palette, close the session for session, and finally we will have a button for apply a concept field correction, which is a filter at the opposite signal, which I will show later. We program the system to create a database that consists of 3 principal archives. The first one is a thermographic map or an image. The second is a data row from the sensor, and the second one is a matrix data row processed with the characteristic equation, which can be translated into the grid. Here I was going to show you how the system works, but I bring my prototype. And you can see anytime that it is capturing the images, you can see how it added the system. The system takes around 15 seconds until the startup, of course, to the limitation of a Raspberry Pi. But as I said, as a first front medical instrument and as a low-cost technology, it is possible that it has a good future in the medical area. So it starts off, and right away we can see the graphic interface, where we can see almost in real time the thermographic images. And just we can capture just as a conventional camera. All this data that we obtain is for evaluate the diabetic foot, because placement is developing an artificial intelligence which, according to this archive, we can diagnose. The artificial intelligence can assist the doctor to evaluate how good or bad is the treatment. And here finally we can see the color palette of both pictures of the code. And here we can see some progress. That's the reason we programmed the actualization of the camera, where we can see the infrared sensor, because sometimes the radiation of the circumference object can cause errors in measurements. For example, here we can see the lamps, they are hotter than the hand temperature. So in that way, we need to ensure that when we take pictures, we need a pattern with an interface. And here we can see the forces field correction, in where these pixels, they were active before, now they are not after the field correction. And it is like a opposite signal to the system. So as this to show the relevance of developing a thermographic instrument lies in the early detection of the diabetic foot towards quantitative information, because these three archives that we get, they are numbers. After all, the information obtained by the device will be processed by an artificial intelligence to determine the evolution of the diabetic foot, and the data will compare temperatures between the area estimated to develop an ulcer. So this method can be applied to detect complications before developing the ulcer. As conclusion, the infrared thermography is formatted as a first technique in the medical field. It does not reject ions to the human body, and it's a cheaper technique to develop in the field of medical images. These ions, for example, they are radiated by the X-ray or MRI techniques. With an early detection of the diabetic foot, the amputation of the lower limb may prevent even death. And as a first prototype, it will be necessary to perform tests in a diabetic state and treat with no vascular antecedents in order to verify the accuracy in the field. Finally, the prototype can do all these functions. View almost in real time the thermographic image, view a preview of the last image taken, take a thermographic image plus the thermographic matrix data, change the color palette, solve the patient per patient, and apply a process treatment correction.
Thank you. Is there any question?
I have a question. Talking about accuracy and sensitivity of the sensor, do you consider that this is enough? It's sensitive enough to detect changes on temperature in order to diagnose a disease?
Yes. Unfortunately, I couldn't show the video where I checked 50 images of my hand, and at that day I had a problem that I didn't eat on time. So I started to feel bad, and my pressure came down. At that moment, when I was taking the picture, we could see very clearly how my hand was affecting the pressure, and then came down, and then came up. So it was possible. Unfortunately, we couldn't hear, but it is possible. Yes.
Finally, there is a very huge difference on prices on professional equipment. what what is the reason? You can tell us why the professional equipment is so expensive?
Yes, by the materials that the ER sensor is made. For example, the professional camera use a diamond lens for the ER sensor, which is one of this is another technology. This is built with the focal plane array of the photometer, finally that's an M, a very modern, and over there they use MCC technology, which is a cadmium and another element, which needs to get cooler, needs to get cool when after use has a lot of definition and resolution. Plus, this camera also uses a normal camera. That's doing it with the infrared and the normal camera. Sometimes you can even get like an anatomical model. But the important is that these professional cameras, they were developed to measure skin, which my characteristic equation has that objective. It's not the same to measure with a gun, a thermographic gun, metal, or a plastic, or wood, or skin. That's why I put at the beginning the difference either because it's the same process, but they are painted different. You have a 2-degree difference. So that was very important. I said that my equipment is specific. The objective to measure the skin.
Other questions? I have a question. You say you don't compensate any other sources of temperature. But when we or anyone went to the hospital, sometimes the temperature is not controlled. Why decide not to compensate that temperature in your prototype?
Because sometimes the patients they don't want to feel that you are making experiments on them. So we try to make a prototype that is very similar of the environment as a constant that I add to the equation that makes my equation valid in all the time of the day. If we need to try to compensate the zero of the environment temperature, we need, for example, a black box where the temperature is always controlled constant, and we need to insert the piece of the patient inside this big box. So we try to make, maybe that's a good idea for research, equipment for research. But as I said, the objective is as a first one, for example, can be a thermometer that doesn't give you any diagnostic, only gives you some idea that something is happening. Yeah.
I give the information of the presentation. Who is Ana Barbara? Ana Barbara. So this only other person to present the work. Administration using Sushi Logic. No?